So hi everybody and welcome back. This is another brief update on the work in progress on my Porsche 961. I wanted to do this time something a little bit different from the usual build-up I do because I wanted to do a kind of step-by-step on my, unfortunately, just Facebook page. I'm not so keen at social media, so I mostly post on Facebook and don't follow so much the Instagram, just random stuff about motorsport. I don't want to mainly use the platform for personal stuff and so on. I just use the personal stuff when I broke a feet in last June. So this is a kind of step by step I'm making right now with the work in progress of my Porsche 961 conversion, and it is the last kit that I produced this year, and I would love to keep this kind of footage like a sort of digital instruction sheet of what's going on if somebody took my set and wants to build it up. So I already made the first video. If you didn't see it, just search in the browser of the video on my channel, and I think it had been made 1 week or a couple of weeks ago. From now it is around the 20th of December, the 16th of December, 17th December. What day is it today? Today is the 18th of December, the 18 on my magnificent clock. And so what's going on? I went a little bit further. In the first video, basically, I had to fix an issue that was mostly coming from the fact I'm not using a standard body that I sell online. This was a defective body that I took from my production, and it had a problematic situation on the roof, because the roof of this part was completely basically unmolded, so it was just the lower part, and they had to cut it away, and I replaced it with the roof coming from the Porsche 3-liter RSR 1974. So that was a scrapped body. So, but I never trash anything, like I probably think the majority of you do, and so there is always something that you can take it back, even more when it is about a fine part like the roof of a 911 can be. And basically this is the second step, and it was of course probably the hardest part of my conversion, because my racing part is basically fitted over the original Tamiya body of the 961 1986. That is a slim body. It was a Thumbtack, basically was more a toy than not a real model. And the hardest part is of course the applying of the Decal livery, which in 1987 was a magnificent Rothmans livery. That was the characteristic of the tiers. The Rothmans livery was used by the Works car were the official Porsche's racing for Porsche house, for the Porsche factory house. And the Rothmans livery was so characteristic. We find this livery together over 911 SC in the Rally series in 959, then arriving to the 956 and 962. So it was basically all the racing Porsches of the 80s were characterized by this magnificent livery that is a little bit tricky to be reproduced in models, because they have very, very sharp colors going near to the others. So when the line and the proportion of the car is a little bit complicated, and with under systems and under levels like this 961 is a little bit tricky. So of course you can go, and that is probably is the best option, I think, to go for a full painting of the livery. That is not so easy, because of course you have to start from a lighter color. So you start from the white, then you have to apply mask and probably make the gold and the red, and like a final one you apply the blue, because the blue is covering color, and we will see during this video one little problem that we had with this type of paint. And I mean, building up this model, I didn't went from that road to paint the livery, which I probably had better be done coming from the first experience that I did. As you probably have seen, nearly more than 10 years ago, I think it was 12 or 13 years ago, I built up another Porsche 1961 that was the one that was basically the mother of this conversion, which I then converted. Then I went completely scrapped because it ended near to a fire, and like the real car. And so basically all the model was nearly melted in the lower part, and I could not use it, and I had to change many different parts, and basically all the overall surface was completely flattened and becoming greasy and oily, so I could not absolutely save the model. So I cleaned it completely, scrapped away all the painting that I could, and rebuild it basically from zero, creating the master that I use now for this type of production. So the decal sheet that I used at the time on the first attempt I did on this model, and it was long before I could also even think for an eventual production in resin of my parts. And for that model I used the Museum Collection Decal Sheet, MSM Decal Sheet Museum Collection. Museum Collection I think is also a Japanese company. I remember that there is Decal because many guys ask me when they purchase the resin kit, which I sell without a decal sheet, of course. They have been made anyway by Museum Collection Decal, Tabu Design Decal, Shunko Decals. That is the one that I'm using here now. Lemas Decal on eBay. I don't know about the quality of them. Usually I know that they are a little bit hard to work with, but if you go for just the main livery, like I said, for the main writings, and you plan to paint the golden and the red stripes, that also can be used. So there is also, I think, Decal Doc, if I'm not wrong, make it Fola. I don't think Fola makes it in Slot Fabric. So there is 6 or 7 companies making this type of decal, and my choice this time ended in a Shunko decal. That was this one, uh, mostly because my hope was, it is this set. Now the camera is fixed, so I hope that you don't have the seasick that is typical in my videos, and is this sheet. You see that Shunko decal, that is the code if you want to order it, SHKD449 by Shunko. And I don't think, no, this is printed in Japan, despite the look is absolutely like a cartograph sheet that they are usually printed by Cartograph in Italy. This is printed in Japan, so the quality should be absolutely great. And yeah, indeed it was. So what happened here? I had, for all the guys and the friends following me on Facebook, they already know what happened here, which I think now it's arriving to an end, nearly to an end, because we are nearly there. Basically what I did here, it was to apply a base of white primer, then a white color from Gunze. I mostly use Gunze acrylic. Then I had the color that was extremely nice, bright blue, that was the same color that they indicate here. You see, they provide a list of color which you can use. Mr. Color, that is exactly the Mr. Color range. This is the aqueous type, but Mr. Color is exactly this one. And number 5 is exactly the blue, Mr. Color blue. I think we got it, and it's really nice matching, matching the color from the Rotmas. Instead, this is my tip: if you go for the red, don't go for here they just mention a clear red. I don't think is meant for delivery because the livery is made with decal. But anyway, if you want to go for the red, the correct red for the livery in Rotmas is this. This is coming from the acrylic range, which I used mostly. H86, the code. It's a red mother, and it's little brightly and sparkling red than the ordinary red that is a little bit darker, but it match to the line. I made several small retouch in some points with this color, and match nearly perfectly to the one from the decal sheet. So it's basically these one that you can use. But we had a problem that was mostly coming from the situation that I copied, coming from the experience from the Museo collection, which for example have a different tone of blue. I copied the car that is nowadays present in the Museum of Historical Vehicles at Porsche Factory House in Zuffenhausen. And I think that was my mistake, because as you probably have seen online, the real original of the 961, while be driven by Claude Aldi, during one of the straight in Le Mans, had an issue and took completely fire. Ending in the result, I don't know if it was something about the fuel cap or something that happened on the turbos. Anyway, the car went completely totaled and completely burned, and the pilot got really scared. He didn't get hurt, but the car was completely devastated by flames. There is a picture of when they take it back the car to the garage and to the pits, and she's completely gone. It's really completely done. Seems a car that can be saved by Tavares, Freddy, or Matt Armstrong, completely gone, which they probably rebuild for the museum in Zuffenhausen, that is where she's present today, with one little slightly different that was the object of my mistake. When they repainted the car, I think that the car had an accident in 1987. I guess that the car was freshly rebuilt around the 90s, Usually they cannot re-up, also because being basically prototypes, this was a four-wheel drive prototype Group C car, entering in the category IMSA GTX. It was a special category that they made to allow this type of vehicle to be part of the Le Mans 24 Hour, together with the other works car that in the Tier 4 Porsche were indeed 962 cars. I think it was also the one that win, if I'm not wrong. I don't know if it was the edition won by Stefan Bell. No, not by Stefan Bell. Oh, sorry, by Jochen Mass, or was it? Anyway, you can Google everything and you will find all the Wikipedia around that. My mistake was then that I basically copied the livery they had in the museum with a very, very bright sparkling blue that is indeed exactly the number 5 that they indicate in their videos, in their decal sheet, sorry. But the problem is that when you compare to the main Rothmans livery that they provide in the sheet, that is this over here, the darker blue band, they don't match at all to this bright blue. They are much, much darker. I made indeed a test before starting to paint because I was nearly expecting this stuff. Then I trusted them and they say probably if they made a proper work, because overall the fitting of this decal is quite okay. There was a guy on Facebook that told me, beware because they don't fit most in the rear part. I didn't add the tissue, over my body, because I think that this guy didn't made the model using my body. I think he made it by his own, so probably something went off in his dimension. Instead of my body, this decal sheet from Shunko, that's why I wanted to use it, this Shunko decal, fits perfectly over my body. So basically all the curve line are respected, all the lines on the rear wing are respected, all the proportion of the painting and the gold is respected. So I think I made a good job on the dimension of this vehicle. What was anyway indeed the problem was that the blue stripes over there became very, very dark. And here you have a clip on the Rothmans color which I used. I don't have the best light ever on the video, but to make a long story short, I made 4 tests with the 4 blue that I was thinking were the one matching more to the color I should find. This was the number 5, the one that I used there. This was the number 15 acrylic paint. This was H328 and this was H322. Those 2 colors are coming from the military range. So the one is navy blue and the other is, I think, French blue, something like that. Navy French blue, not the French blue for cars, of course. And indeed, when I was looking the stripes that they provided in the decal sheet, I think that despite they indicate the HFEM, the CFEM, like to be the color for this car, it was much more closer to the H15. That in reality, I think I have it here. You can see from here, this is the H15. I didn't use in the beginning because, as you can see from here, it looked brighter. It looked even brighter than what it is. You see from here, clearly, this is the 15. But in reality, the 15 is darker than this. So, I hope that this video may help somebody that want to build up my model, somebody that took my model and want to go for it with this type of decal sheet. And this situation doesn't happen if, for example, you build up the model using the museum collection decal, which I didn't buy again, mostly because I remember that was an annoying problem with the decal. That first of all, mine was completely old and cracking, so the quality of my sheet was horrific, And mostly because I remember that on that decal sheet, the pilot, one of the pilots that connected his own life to Porsche Racing, that was Claude Aldi, was a pilot from Switzerland, a pilot that was a real legend, quite older guy, and just specialized in GT cars, that I was reading on Wikipedia that he died for Alzheimer's, so he should be absolutely terrific. Died at 75, when you have an history of winning career with Porsche as a real pilot, making all the adventure that we all dream about, and you remain completely brainless because of Alzheimer's. This is absolutely terrible for me. So, I would like to have a correct decal sheet. If I make a mistake is one situation. If the company making decals make a mistake is another situation. They placed Claude Aldi instead of with the Switzerland white cross over red flag. They make like a Swede. So there is a Swedish flag. Like Trump say, have you seen Sweden? Okay, Claude Aldi, with all the respect, And also with all the respect for Sweden, which I beloved, which I'm making the video in, Claudel D was not a Swede. So why should I have a model that features Claudel D in that condition? So no way for me to go for the museum collection. I don't know if other Decal sheet had some issues. I think from what I was reading around that before my conversion here, the only attempt to do this type of model was only that you should scratch build by your own the model. And honestly, when I built up this model, the very hard part, despite it looks similar to the original one from Tamiya of the Slimmer 1986, was indeed to enlarge in the proper dimension without making it too much, to create this rear air intake here, to make the proper step that there is between the main wing and the side of the car, a lot of little extra detail, plus the recreation of making the Tamtec Tamiya original body became a kind of real kit that we are used to, because otherwise they are toys. I mean, it's a Lexan body with already molded in horrible glasses over, like the 962 series that they keep on reissuing. It was a 2025 new item with Jägermeister livery. I don't know sometimes the decision of Tamiya, but none of my business. I'm not Tamiya related, so it's not me making the stuff, but Jesus Christ, reprint the 956, that is a nice model, let it be the 962. It's okay, it's good because it's a proposal for a bargain price. I think everything was in Amazon for neither $30, so you can go for it. Usually I'm paying now. I have to make a video about that. I bought from a friend, in brackets, a friend making decals from the Beta Monte Carlo, posted to Sweden. I pay $45. Fuck, man, $45. The entire model I pay €30. So, oh well, it was a friend. It make me a friendly price. Friendly price. Friend. Sometimes you have to be a little bit careful when you mention friends. Friends is always in brackets. There is no friends. So what I did to solve this situation, because as everything you can say, but Paolo, now the stripes basically match to the color, they are a little bit darker still, but basically they match. There is not this huge difference between that part, now mostly because it's flat, and there is a reason why it's flat. What did I do to solve this situation? There is picture on Facebook where you can see how darker it was. I mean, it was darker in a condition like one of these two last color. As you can see, very, very dark. It was a huge difference. And I could not stay with it, so I basically, and it was really kind of Thrill Seeker Works, it was a series that they broadcasted when I was a kid, the Thrill Seekers, The Dangerous Is My Job, was to apply tape over here, so over the roof, with all the decals already in position, and respray the color using the H5, trying to make basically the same car that is present at the museum right now, no? So of course it will be much more easy to fix these stripes over here than try to fix this side, because this cannot be made now. Absolutely, there is no way to fix the color when it is in this position, but there was the way to fix the roof part of color, which I think is pretty similar right now. And before making that step, I basically applied all the decal. Now it's extremely tricky to let it be properly all this stuff, because I'm working with very, very different type of colors. So we had a synthetic primer, a Tamiya primer, a acrylic base color over the primer, and a synthetic blue, and acrylic transparent from Winsor & Newton that required nearly 48 hours to be completely dry, plus another synthetic color over. So before applying the final gloss, which I think will not be the real inner sanctum of the real disaster, making everything go wrong, I prefer to wait, I suspect, in the area between 4 to 5 days, if not 1 week, to make everything breathe properly, and all the solvents coming from the color, which I applied in a kind of short time, can be completely settled, like dried, and no surprises will arrive. It's also true that usually when I work with the GX112 from Gunze, that is a synthetic ultra finished diamond, glossy transparent, it works exactly like the 2K did back in time, so it seals completely what is under that, making a very, very nice stretchy gloss surface. Even more if you apply that with the self-leveling thinner that is a universal thinner both for acrylic and for synthetic. This one I thinnered with self-leveling thinner that allow you to have a very smooth surface when you apply, and you see it's became really like a kind of really airbrush work where you don't see any drop, any greasy finishing on the model, you know. But I need now all this stuff to rest completely and to become completely dry, and I need to be sure that they are completely settled and there is no surprises. Also for the decal I use it, because one of the limits of this Shunko decal is that it's very similar to Tamiya decals, so they are good in quality, good in color, very good in proportion, perfect for my body, but they require a lot of softener, and I use this one, the Gunze Mark softener, that is extremely aggressive, and they don't react so well with the Mark softener because it's very easy to burn them. So what I do usually is to prepare this in another can and thinner it with water or isopropyl alcohol, you know, that is the alcohol that you use in wipers. But do test, because I mean, I don't want to have the responsibility that if you try this stuff that I'm telling you right now, it seems the trick and seems the secret how to make models this way. It is not, because you have to make your own test, and probably if something goes wrong, you trash everything. In this case, you trash also special unique conversion, because this is a limited edition stuff that I make in few decades of few numbers of cars, you know, around the world. So who get it now have it, otherwise the mold is done, and now for real there will be no reissues. This is the end of 25. It have been the last reissue of this model, and I made a 3 print of this model. So because there was a huge request in the beginning, I was not thinking that this was something that the modeler know, because it's so similar to the 959 used in the rallies, and but I had a huge response. I was honestly not expecting that, so that's why I made for 3 times the mold, the reprinting. But during this 3 times, the only mold that I kept from the beginning was the original body, because all the other parts have been rebuilt. So the wheels, we made the mold for the wheels. The wheels are much bigger than the ordinary ones, you know. This is the wheels that they will be used, and I fitted inside a spare brake disc coming, I think, from an Alpha model spare part from their Porsche, you know, that fits nearly perfectly inside the 17 rims. Because if you go for this type of conversion, that was one of the mistakes I made in my first edition, in my first attempt of the model. Many modelers just try to work on the body, while the original car, if you see closely picture, mounted 17-inch wheels. That was the big change in between 85, 86 and 87. It was that as for the 962, they enlarged the wheels, and all the car became, that was the reason why the car became much wider, because the tire and the wheel became much wider and larger. So it is a 17-inch wheel with the same speed line sprocket wheels inside. So it looks similar, it is absolutely different. And if you finish this model with the original standard Tamiya wheels from 961, I have it here somewhere because I bought a spare many years ago, and they look ridiculously small. It really looks like a toy car, so you will kill your model using that part, you know. And sorry for that, but I don't sell, some guys asked me about that, but I don't sell separate wheels for this model. I just produce it, and already there was a little challenger because the mold break up 3-4 times, you know, and we have to rebuild every time the mold for the wheel. And that's it. I hope that the next video will be the completed model. I think we solved this solution. I'm glad that we can share this kind of experience with the modelers around the world that I think appreciate what I'm doing on that social media. And if you don't already do, follow my page, follow my just my YouTube, because I also understand that sometimes the socials are a real pain in the ass. So I think we are on a bright way. But for now, this model will be a little bit resting for some day, and let everything dry properly and fit properly overnight. And I think for 1 week this model will not be touched, you know. It's not so much that I miss, you know. I'm working on the interior set, I'm working on the wheels are already done. There is smaller minor part and minor set that have been done. I have still to fix the side windows, instead the front windshield and the rear windshield are already settled. So that's it, guys. So stay tuned and see you for the third and last part of this video. I hope with no bad surprise and just with a nice model finished. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next one.